Hello and welcome to the channel. Well, I've got back Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller, Batman, Todd McFarlane release, and Todd McFarlane release Lobo. Today I'm going to centre mainly on Lobo because he's been re-released and the figure pretty much looks like the one I've got in front of me, which I've had for a few years, so I'll come in close on him. And in this review you'll see him being posed out with various weapons. And posed out a little bit just to show you his articulation. And this is a figure which is going to be brought to the live screen and is going to be played by Jason Momoa. I put him with Batman because in the past when I did film these two together I did it on my old camera, which wasn't too good in terms of the quality, so I thought I'll come back to it being the figure is now being re-released in I don't know if it's a deluxe version or gold label. The only difference with my figure to the new one is his hairstyle is in like a spiky mode, but from what I've seen of him he's exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is turn him around and show you the back of the figure, because he's got the same design on his jacket as the new release. So I'll show you that now. I'll just come in close now and bring it around, and there it is. Bite me, fanboy. It's a nice looking figure, and don't know anything about him other than what my mates told me, and he's kind of a bad boy, and I know there is a motorcycle that comes with him. And with the release of the new figure, which is the same as this, except as I said before, his hair's kind of like spiky. Kind of reminds me of a manga sort of look. Yeah, apart from that, he comes with a dolphin, and I don't quite get why that is because I haven't looked into his backstory. But what we'll do now is we're going to start posing him out, him and Batman, with some different weapons, just to see what that looks like. So let's start it off the process. So here's the first one. I've put them both with Kalashnikovs. The shape of the pose is pretty much the same. So we'll get some close-ups on Lobo. And I do like him. And the only accessory he came with is the accessory there in the right hand. That sort of chain and hook. But I do like the detail of this figure. I have no idea how much I paid for him in the end, but I know I didn't pay full price. And there he is standing on a Mortal Kombat foot stand. But he looks pretty good with any weapon you pose him with, so I'm happy about that. I had him with some of my Raven Spawn weapons as well, but I won't do that today. You'll just see him with a few of the McFarlane's weapons from the accessory pack. And there's your Frank Miller's interpretation of Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. And they brought him out in a black wash to create that iconic poster on the front of the comic book. So we've got that one under the belt. Let's move on to the next. So put the bazooka in Lobo's hand, and this is one of them figures that I think the bigger the weapon, the more dynamic he looks, and I like him with this. I've had him actually aiming the bazooka, but I'm not going to get on it today because it's going to be a bit too fiddly, but I just want you to get the general idea. And then Batman, I put in his fighting fists and the accessory he comes with, which is the Batarang bullwhip. And putting these two together seems to work quite well. They've got kind of a gritty appeal. So let's move it on from there. Actually, what I'll do is I'll turn Lobo round the other way just to see what that looks like. So yeah, I've changed him sort of square on and he doesn't look too bad. When I had him in my display, I didn't have him with any weapons, I just had him with what he came with, which was that. But there's a chance that after filming, I probably will pose him with some weapon, I'm not sure which. And there I've just put Batman in a slightly different dynamic, and I put in his fighting fist, as you can see, and I've tilted his head down a little bit more of this figure. So let's try out another one just to see that effect. So this isn't too bad. This weapon, it's not the biggest weapon, but it seems to suit him. I quite like that. I just changed his position after this bit, but I'll come to Batman next. Now, I've never actually posed Batman with a knife. I've never posed him with a knife with any of my Batman figures, and I quite like that. Looks quite good, so I'll probably stick with that knife and see what else I can pose him like. Let's just see what it's going to look like on the next one. So I've changed both of the poses on these figures. Let's come to Lobo first. And I do like that. This could be the weapon that goes back in the display. Let's get a close up. That's okay. And let's bring it back to Batman. And yeah, I quite like him with that knife. You could imagine him, when all the other weapons have failed him, that he's just going to get down to this kind of weapon. I thought of putting Carrie Kelly in there, but I thought it's mainly about Lobo today, and I thought these two do seem to look good together on camera. So let's see actually if I can get Lobo on one knee, and what I might do is keep the knife and put another weapon in Batman's hand. So yeah, doesn't look bad, that. Not bad at all. I'm not so sure what to expect actually when, because I do like Jason Momoa. I actually remember in a TV series called Stargate Atlantis, and he was a very lean looking guy. You could see muscle on him, but nothing like he is now. And then the next film I saw him in was Conan the Barbarian, and he beefed up a little bit. But over the years he has put on a lot of muscle, especially in Aquaman. But I have no idea, I've only seen his head in the trailer, so I've no idea what his body looks like, or whether he's kind of got the look this figure's got. But at the end of the day, he's come on a long way since he was in Stargate, and I think he's a fairly good actor myself, and in his real life he seems quite a spiritual guy, so I am looking forward to that. And this is Batman's pose. I put the bullwhip, or the Batarang bullwhip, in his hand, and he looks okay. I might try him on one knee just to see what that looks like, but in fact I will try him on one knee to see what they both look like together like that. There's the old pose on one knee, but I don't like Batman's pose, so I'm going to have another go at it. Definitely going to have another go at it. So I'll stop that one short and get that better. No, that simply won't do. He's getting a bit ridiculous, that. I'll have one more crack. I'll change Lobo as well and see how it looks. So let's have one more go at the one knee pose. Well, I think that's as good as it's going to get, folks. But it's just an idea of what these guys look like together and how articulate they are. Batman's main problem is actually that cloak, it's kind of a sculpted cloak and not a wired one, so it restricts this sort of movement. But on the whole, I love this figure because I've had him on the horse and I've had him in other dynamic poses and he always looks good. But this is one of his kind of fiddly diddly poses. If you spend enough time, you could get it better than this, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what these guys look like together, and I do like it. So let's start to wind it down with a couple of more and get them back on their feet. So I've tried Lobo with the Batarang ball whip. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Kind of looks okay. Not too bad at all. And I've put a hand pistol in Batman's hand. It's a kind of weapon that you don't expect with him. I know he normally comes with the telescopic rifle, which I'm trying to get a hold of right now, but this doesn't look too bad. I think I'm going to do a better dynamic with it though, for the wind down poses. But overall I kind of like this look. So let's have another crack at it. So guys, I think that will be the last pose actually. I really wanted to focus on Lobo. I put that shotgun in his hand. I think that's the weapon I'm going to keep him with for now. And that's what it'll look like when he goes back into my display. But I'm glad I got him as early as I did, because I think he's a lot more pricier now that Todd McFarlane has re-released him, and he's exactly the same as this figure that I have acquired. But he's got the kind of spiky hair effect. He's got a few things within the packaging. I think he's got like a fancy card and maybe possibly another accessory, but I'm pleased overall with this because I've got the McFarlane's accessory pack, so I don't need to go and acquire anything new by getting a new figure or a new version. But a completist would, so I understand that. But yeah, looking forward to seeing the film starring Jason Momoa, and there is a touch of Jason Momoa in that head sculpt, although I do see also a bit of Morbius and also a slight resemblance to Crow starring Brandon Lee, but maybe that's more in my imagination. But I do like the figure. And then we'll come finally to Dark Knight Returns Batman, and I won't be posing him like this when I put him back into display. He'll be getting his Batarang ball whip back, and he'll be next to Carrie Kelly, Robin. But it's been enjoyable seeing him in this mode with that hand pistol. I might use it in the future. And that's your lot, I'm afraid. But I will say this, because I forgot to mention that guy. Now, I've got the Ron Perlman version of Hellboy, and that's one of the accessories he comes with. And normally I used to pose my Hellboy with that bit of rope you can see on the dragon strapped to Hellboy's back, because that's what occurs in the first film. But I thought, just to beef things up a bit for this bit of footage, I'll stick him in the picture. So I quite like the way he looks, and his head turns, and I think you can open his mouth, so he's not just a sort of rigid bit of resin. I'll come in close one more time because he's quite good for what he is. So I'll pull back and say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Haha, you thought I'd gone, hadn't you? No, I just decided as I was about to wind it up, I didn't like the end pose. So I've just turned them around the other way, and I've got them sort of on the back foot, so I just come in close on that. Yeah, that's a better position to look at him from. And I've done the same for Batman. I think that was a better pose to end on. I love those gritty teeth. So yeah, it really is the end. So I say thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again next time.